What is up, fight fans? This is DJC Combat, and today I'm going to give my breakdown and prediction for this weekend's fight card that goes down in Singapore. So it looks like local time it's going to be showing in the morning, so I'm going to get up early to watch that. Headlined by Max Blessed Holloway versus Chan Sung Jung, and we got a lot of other good fights on here to talk about. Smith and Span run it back in an absolute mid-off. Giga Chikadze returns after being fraud checked against Alex Caceres, who over the years has massively improved. And then Talas Santos is back finally, and is taking on Aaron Blanchfield in what will be a great fight between two top 5 flyweights. So I'm going to start with that one. Aaron Blanchfield versus Talas Santos. Man, this is such a tough fight to call. It's going to be a tough fight for both ladies. You got two high-level grapplers in the women's flyweight division. I'd say wrestling ability overall goes to Aaron Blanchfield, and I think Aaron definitely has better finishing ability on the ground as well. But overall, in terms of just pure Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Talas Santos might have that edge. Striking-wise, Aaron Blanchfield definitely showed improvements in her striking against Jessica Andrade in her last fight, where a lot of us thought that Andrade should have the edge on the feet if she keeps it standing. But Aaron, even when struggling to get her takedowns, was able to piece up Jessica Andrade. So her stand-up has definitely gotten better, but she's got that toughness as well, that Jersey toughness. But I think on the feet, I have to edge Talas Santos in the stand-up. I think her boxing is better, and she has a significant power advantage. And I understand that Aaron was able to piece up Jessica, but Talas Santos is a better striker than Jessica Andrade, better form behind her punches, more accuracy behind her punches. She's better with straight punches. She's faster. Her kicks are better than Jessica Andrade. So I think the stand-up, it can be competitive, but I think it will be dangerous for Aaron Blanchfield. And I think that Talas Santos has a strength advantage as well, which could play a massive factor in the grappling between the two. Because obviously I know technique wins grappling and wrestling, but it also just depends on how good that other wrestler or grappler is who's really strong. And Talas Santos can wrestle, and she's very strong, and we saw her out-wrestle Valentina for the first 3 rounds of the fight before the headbutt changed everything, and we saw how close she was to beating Valentina Shevchenko, showing that she is definitely on that level, that she arguably could have been a champion in her last fight. Let's just get that straight. Talas Santos arguably should have won the belt that night. It was an extremely close fight that she had with Valentina Shevchenko. But my only concern with this matchup is Talas Santos hasn't fought in a long time. Aaron is more active. She's got momentum and confidence, riding an undefeated streak, whereas Talas is coming off a loss, where she did take a lot of damage in that fight against Valentina the Bullet Shevchenko. I do think if these two would have fought in February, I think for sure, not for sure, but more likely, I would be more confident that Santos would win. But now, given the layoff, the added time off, it's really hard to say. Like, I could see this fight being really close, and it just depends on how Santos comes back. Like, if she is really affected by ring rust, I can see her having an extremely slow start, and I can just see Aaron Blanchfield just going in there and doing work, having more output on the feet. Talas Santos not really pulling the trigger. I do think the wrestling might cancel each other out, because Aaron Blanchfield, we know that she comes from that wrestling background. She's not going to give up takedowns or control that easily. And Talas Santos, being how strong she is and how good her takedown defense is, it's going to be hard for Aaron to work her game on her. So it might be a striking fight. So this is a very hard fight to call. But coin flip, gun to my head, I'm going to lean the way of Taila Santos. I'm going to go with the underdog here, but I could easily be wrong about this one because Erin is very good, very young, active, and improving. But in hindsight, beating Jessica Andrade is not as impressive as almost beating Valentina Shevchenko. I know she didn't straight up beat Valentina, but still. Anyone who's good at this point, finishes Jessica Andrade. If it was Erin who pulled out and Jessica fought Taila, the exact same thing would have happened. Santos would have just defeated Jessica the exact same way. I just think that Taila is a better and tougher and harder opponent for Erin than her last fight, Jessica Andrade. And Erin Blanchfield was struggling to get her takedowns going early against Jessica before round 2. And Taila Santos is bigger and stronger and a better grappler than Jessica with even better takedown defense. So I can only imagine that Taila will have no problem defending takedowns of Erin Blanchfield. And if it comes down to the stand-up, even though Erin, yes, has shown improvements in her striking and was outstriking Jessica, she was still taking her fair share of shots and damage. And like I said earlier, man, Taila Santos throws her punches with better form than Jessica Andrade. So I think she's going to be connecting big, damaging shots on Erin, like Jessica did, but with more accuracy, speed, and length as well. And Erin's just not going to be able to straight up piece up Santos the same way she did to Andrade. I don't think her punches are going to have the same effect on Santos that Santos's punches will have on her. And I just don't see Erin going out there and taking down Santos and submitting her. It could happen. I could jinx it. But Santos is not like these cans that Blanchfield has smoked. This is the biggest test in Erin's career. She might pass it with flying colors, but I'm just not convinced that she's just going to go out there and blow through Taila. It's going to be a really tough fight. So I'm going to say Santos wins this fight by unanimous decision, 29-28. Relatively competitive fight, but I just think Santos has the edge and is a bad matchup. But we shall see. I wouldn't be mad at Erin winning because then we can have a fresh contender fight for the belt. Valentina beats Grasso in the rematch. We have a new opponent for Valentina and Erin Blanchfield, but then we could get Erin versus Grasso as well. But yeah, I think Santos wins this one. All right, now moving on to the featherweight division, we got Giga Chikadze versus Alex Caceres. So Giga finally came out of hiding after all this time off, after all this time out of the game. He's back after getting destroyed by Calvin Kattar. Almost never thought we'd see the day, but here he is. Giga Chikadze was on a bit of a run, though, before losing to Kattar. Giga Chikadze is a very talented striker in the featherweight division, known for that Giga kick. Very powerful body kicks, but he can also go up high and devastate you with that as well. And Alex Caceres is not Calvin Kattar. He doesn't have that level of boxing of Calvin Kattar. And I think that Giga Chikadze was kind of thrown off and surprised that Kattar grappled him early. But I don't think he'll be surprised in this one. I think that Giga Chikadze will be ready for Alex Caceres to try and grapple because he knows that's what Alex does. Alex is a good striker, but not as good of a striker as Giga. So I think Giga might show some improved grappling defense with this time off, and he might be able to outstrike Alex Caceres and win a decision here. I'm going to pick Giga Chikadze. But Alex Caceres has improved a lot within the last 2 years. He's much better. He's a much better fighter now than he was, back in the day. There was a time where he was struggling to find his footing. Now, before his fight with Sadiq Youssef, he put together a good long win streak, which is something he couldn't do before. So I won't be surprised if Caceres wins, but I got to go with Giga. Now, moving up the card in the light heavyweight division, the co-main event, Anthony Smith versus Ryan Super Can Spann. This is a tough one to call because Anthony Smith is washed. He showed that in his last 2 fights against Ankalaev and against Walker. But Ryan Spann, Super Can, is trash. He's not that good either. 2021, I will say Anthony Smith was way better back then. Faster, more explosive, sharper. He was just on point and in a better mental state as well. And I picked Smith last time, but given everything that's gone on with Smith in this past year, the leg injury, the death of his mother, hate to bring that up, my condolences to Smith. I just think all of that just kind of took a toll on him mentally and physically. And even though Ankalaev is better and was always going to win that fight, you could see it showed in Smith's performance in that one. And then against Walker, he just looked slow and terrible. But Spann got submitted by Krylov in his last fight because he has low IQ and made some mistakes that cost him that and caused him to get subbed. But at the same time, Krylov is very underrated as well. Spann did show some improvements against Dominic Reyes, but that's the ghost of Reyes, so it's so hard to say what will happen in this fight. I do think Smith, at his absolute best, is the better fighter than Ryan Spann. Of course, he's got more experience than Spann. He's the better mixed martial artist. He's got better striking than Spann. I think his ground game, his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is much better, and he's much tougher than Spann as well. Spann is extremely chinny. I mean, he was getting rocked by Sam Alvey, which is very embarrassing. And the last time these two fought, all Smith had to do was just touch his chin. It was that easy, and then he finished him. However, Ryan Spann, one thing I will say, for as much as I've been crapping on him in this video, is in that fight with Reyes, he showed composure in that fight. He was very patient in that fight. He let Reyes make the first mistake, and he was able to counter and capitalize and get the KO. Obviously, it won't be that simple against someone like Smith because he's got a way better chin than Dominic Reyes. Still, I will say, though, if Ryan Spann in this rematch shows better composure than the last fight, because the last fight, he just was clumsy, overextending, going wild, and Smith just caught him in the wildfire. But if he's measured, if he takes his time against Anthony Smith, he's big, he's athletic and powerful, he might have a good chance to win. He might be able to catch Smith because he does hit hard. Or maybe he could actually take an approach of taking this fight to the ground. But then Smith could sub him off his back. So I really don't know, man. I'm just going to screw it. I'm going to go with Anthony Smith again. I won't be shocked. I won't be surprised if Ryan Spann does beat him. I just don't think Spann is that good. These two still had bad blood, and I can still see Ryan being emotional. Now, I heard that Spann back in the day wasn't training a lot, and now he trains, now he's disciplined, so maybe that'll make a difference, and maybe Smith being washed can make a difference, but I don't know. I can't really say that Spann has improved much since then, so I think even though Smith is washed, he should at least be able to beat Ryan Spann. And I'll say that he'll win in very similar fashion to the last fight. I think Ryan will try to keep his composure in this fight, but Smith is just not going to go away that easily. He's got that dog in him. And I think eventually he might be able to get Spann to make a mistake, whether it be on the feet, he might be able to catch him again, or maybe Spann does try to wrestle him and then Anthony catches him in a triangle choke. But I'm going to go with Anthony Smith in this one, but I will not be surprised if Ryan Spann, the can, ends up winning. Now, moving on to the main event of the evening, Max Blessed Holloway versus the Korean Zombie Chan Sung Jung, the fight that literally nobody is hyped for because on paper we all know what's most likely going to happen in this fight. We all know that most likely Max Holloway is just going to murder the Zombie. And yes, the Korean Zombie is washed. He's on the older side. He just got battered by Alexander Volkanovski. I know there's no shame in that because Volk did the exact same thing to Max Holloway one fight later. But still, Chan Sung Jung is old, taking a lot of damage throughout his career. He has not fought since. He's talking about retiring. I just don't think Jung is who he once was in his prime. But even prime for prime, I think he'd have a really tough time with Max Holloway. Because yes, Chan Sung Jung does have power and good boxing, and he's a good counterpuncher. Max Holloway is just a terrible matchup because Holloway is durable as hell. You're not going to knock the guy out. He can take a punch, and he's just got more volume and output. And Zombie's a pot shotter, and that output of Holloway is extremely hard to deal with. It's extremely hard to deal with. Only Alexander Volkanovski can neutralize Max Holloway in this division from what we've seen so far. Maybe Ilya would have a chance. But right now, it seems like the only guy in this division that is going to stop Holloway, even though they're not going to fight again, it's Alexander Volkanovski. I know we just saw one second best fighter fall, which was Robert Whittaker. But Dricus du Plessis, he's young, you know. Whereas Korean Zombie, he's not going to have a Dricus du Plessis moment because he's older and his time is done. I really can't see how he wins this fight other than maybe a flash KO. But that's not going to happen unless Max Holloway's chin is completely gone. But if Max Holloway is able to deal with prospects like Arnold Allen, who's a better opponent than Korean Zombie, and dismantle Brian Ortega, who dismantled Zombie, and beat Calvin Kattar, who at this point I think could beat Zombie, then yeah, I think Max Holloway has this one in the bag. And it's going to be sad, but who knows? Like, I could kind of see Max Holloway going out there and going easy on Zombie for his last fight. Kind of like how Israel Adesanya kind of took it easy on Anderson Silva. I could see something similar happening in this fight. Or Max could just choose to go out there and go Ultra Instincts and absolutely slaughter the Zombie. But either way, Max Holloway wins this fight pretty comfortably. And I don't really know what's next from here, but all I know is that Holloway is likely gonna absolutely dominate and dismantle Zombie and send Zombie on his way, which is gonna be heartbreaking. But hey, at least Korean Zombie's getting his dream fight. I mean, he's always wanted to fight Max Holloway, so I'm happy for him. But it's not gonna end well. But that's it for my breakdown and prediction for UFC Singapore. Let me know your picks in the comment section down below. Like and subscribe, and peace out.